Hello everyone, Gaza Mutkarsh, and I welcome you all to this session on visualization and reporting. So guys, let's have a look at the agenda for this session. The agenda for this session includes exploring different Seaborn charts. So in this session, we shall be exploring count plot, bar chart, box plot, histogram based couple of charts like hist plot and KDE plot, and we'll also be exploring the scatter chart. Now, so far till the previous session, we have already explored and implemented couple of matplotlib charts. So guys, let's switch to the Jupyter screen. So over here we are in the Jupyter screen, right? So let's understand what Seaborn is all about. So Seaborn is a Python data visualization library that is built on top of Matplotlib. Means though both of these charts or say let's say the customization of Seaborn charts can also be implemented using Matplotlib. So it kind of acts as a wrapper on top of Matplotlib that provides additional customizations. So it provides a high level interface for creating informative and attractive statistical graphics. Now, Seaborn excels in visualizing relationships between multiple variables that may be continuous or categorical in nature, all right, comparing the distributions, handling categorical data effectively. So it offers a variety of plot types such as scatter plots, line plots, bar chart, histogram, box plot, heat maps, etc. There are a number of other customization options available. Now, it easily blends with Matplotlib. That's the best part, that it easily blends with Matplotlib, right? So guys, over here I'm importing the libraries. First I've imported pandas, then I'm importing numpy. Pandas is meant for let's say data pre-processing and cleaning, which we have already implemented. Numpy for the mathematical operation. Matplotlib, previously we have implemented the pyplot module, which we are essentially using for visualization. So matplotlib भी हम visualization के लिए use कर रहे हैं, and the same goes with Seaborn. All right, we are using even Seaborn for the visualization. So these are the libraries that I've implemented, right? Seaborn is again meant for visualization. Now, अगर हम इसके आगे discuss करें, so next over here what can be done? Over here I can write df. Let me read the dataset pd.read.csv, and I'm going to read the students performance.csv file. All right, guys, this is my data set. Let's understand the data set at hand. So over here we do have the gender column, then the race ethnicity, then parental level of education, then lunch, test preparation course, and these are the different scores. So these are the scores that the students have obtained in different let's say domains of the examination, be it math score, reading score, and even writing score. All right. So guys, ये data हमारे पास available है because we have a very long, let's say, column names. So I would like to rename them. Let's rename them as df.columns. इसका नाम हमने रख दिया. I'm writing it gender, then RETH for race ethnicity, parental level of education, lunch, then TPC for test preparation course, then math, then reading, and then writing. All right, I've renamed the columns like this. So now we have much better data: gender, race ethnicity, parental level of education, lunch, test preparation course, math, reading, and writing. So guys, this is the data that we have. Let's look at the shape. So we have 1000 rows and 8 columns. And if we look at the rows is 1000, the number of columns is 8. Let's check in case we do have any null values. So guys, clearly we see that we don't have any null values. All right. Now let's proceed with the different Seaborn charts. The first one being the count plot, right? So count plot क्या करता है? So it is let's say in look and appeal wise it is same, just exactly the same as the bar chart. So it is used to represent the count of different categories for a categorical column. So it is typically meant to be utilized for a categorical column. Now when we'll be using Seaborn, we'll try to compare how the visual representation of Seaborn, let's say, varies from Matplotlib as well, and what are the similarities, and at the same time what are the benefits. So suppose I want to solve a question, represent count of race ethnicity on a count plot. So count of race ethnicity means simply utilizing this. I want to represent these numbers on the bar chart, right? So group C has 319 records, group D 262, group B 190, group E 140, and group A 89. These are the records that I have. So अगर हम इनको plot करें, so how do we plot them? So over here I can write sns.boxplot, sns.countplot, and on the x-axis I just need to mention RETH. That's it. यहाँ पे हमें value counts लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So try to recall matplotlib में जब हमने same code implement किया था. So what have we represented over there? Means if I'm storing this in a variable, so I have to write a1.index and a1.values considering that we have stored it in the variable a1, right? So यहाँ पे over here I've written sns.countplot ds race ethnicity and then plt.show. So this is the Seaborn function and this is the matplotlib function which we are implementing, which we are blending together. So if you observe this, see group B is standing at 190. So this is 190. Group C is standing at 319, group D at 262. So this group D is at 262. So we are getting the same numbers, right? We are getting the exact same numbers. Now, of course, a number of customizations are available and customizations will be implementing just the way we have implemented it in matplotlib. So x ki jagah if I want to represent it on y axis, so even this can be done. And if you observe carefully, we did not mention the x label and y label, but automatically it is displaying. Unlike matplotlib, it is automatically displaying the x label and the y label. So let's customize this. So the title over here is going to be count of race ethnicity. All right, this is count of race ethnicity. All right, next, so this is A, B, C, D, E. Then over here, if we proceed further, so X label, Y label is done. Maybe even over here, I can add edge color as black. All right. Now, if I want to change the color, maybe let's change it to orange. So the bar colors have changed, right? Now the remaining, if I want to overwrite X label, Y label, that can also be done. So plt X label, suppose I wish to overwrite this. So हम इसको कैसे overwrite कर सकते हैं? Over here I can simply write race ethnicity. Alright, यहाँ पे हमने लिख दिया race ethnicity. This is the X label that I have customized. Now there are n number of other customizations available when it comes to Seaborn, which are not available as far as matplotlib is concerned. So let's explore them as well. So this was the first chart, right? Represent count of race ethnicity on the count plot. We have represented it. The second chart is count of lunch based on gender. Now this is where count of lunch based on gender, essentially we are looking at this. So df.group by, okay, lunch and gender and lunch wise. Count of lunch. This is what I want to compute. Now matplotlib is not capable of handling, let's say, multiple indexes. We have to mention them separately. But when it comes to Seaborn, this can be done using a parameter called hue. So over here I can pass sns.count plot, and in the count plot in the x I'm passing df lunch because this is what I need to figure the count about, and then grouping has to be done based on gender. So df gender. Alright, and then I can mention plt.show. So df lunch and this is df gender. So guys, if you observe, these are the values. For standard, the count is, okay, I think this should be df gender, this would be df gender, and this would be the lunch. Alright, let me reframe the question. Count of lunch based on gender. So this is gender and then we have lunch. So if you observe over here, for female, the free count is 189 and the standard is 329. So this is the standard and the free count is 189. Likewise for males, free or reduced is 166. Free or reduced is 166 and the second one, that is standard, is 316. So guys, this is how even this can be implemented. So this hue parameter can be used. Now there's yet another way of writing the same thing. I can also write it like this. Instead of x is equal to df, I can simply mention data is equal to df and then x is gender, and hue may I can directly pass the column name, which is lunch. Alright, so guys, this is how we can create count plot. I hope this is clear to everyone. Next, moving forward, the next chart that we have is bar plot. So bar plot, as we have discussed even in matplotlib, it is used to compare continuous values for different categories. So in Seaborn bar plot, mean is used as the default aggregation. It can be changed if need be. So represent race ethnicity wise mean of writing score on a bar plot. So what is the question requiring? the question is requiring df dot group by race ethnicity wise mean of writing score. This is mean of writing score. Alright, now I want to represent this on a bar chart. So matplotlib mein first I have to compute this, then I can store it in a variable maybe a1, and then I can represent it a1.index and a1.values. But if I were to represent this on the bar chart, on the count plot in Seaborn, so how would I write? sns.bar plot. In the bar plot on the x-axis I can mention, I just have to mention, let's say x is equal to df race ethnicity and y is equal to df writing. That's it. Automatically let's say it evaluates mean. So title I mention kar dete hain. What is going to be the title? Mean writing score. This is going to be mean writing score. All right, for each race ethnicity, and then I can say plt dot show. So if you observe this, for group B, what is the count? It is 65. The mean is 65. So for group B, it is 65. For group C, it is 67. For group D, it is 70. All right. For group A, it is 62. For group D, it is 70. And for group E, it is 71. All right. Now, guys, what are these vertical lines representing? They are representing confidence interval. So the interval in which the means can vary. So अगर हमें इसे हटाना है, so I can get rid of them like this. I can write error bar is equal to ci0. Ci is the confidence interval. All right. And let me write ci is confidence interval. All right. ये हमने यहाँ तक लिख लिया. And then let's represent this. So now clearly we can see that this is the mean writing score for each race ethnicity. Now I can also pass maybe hue over here. यहाँ पे भी हम hue को represent कर सकते हैं. So represent race ethnicity wise sum of math score on a bar plot. So अब यहाँ पे I want to represent sum. So the same functionality I can write it like this. Race ethnicity wise let's say math score. So I'm writing math. अब जो हमें sum करना है. So for sum I have to use, let's say, the estimator. The estimator was mean. Now I can change it to sum. I have to write sum. So now it will be sum. So this is sum of math score. All right, sum of math score for each race ethnicity. And I'll show you this separately as well. What is the sum of math score? This is what we are getting. These numbers we should be obtaining in the bar plot. See, for group A it is 5485. For group A it is 5485. For group B it is somewhere closer to 12,000. Group B it is 12,056. Group B 20,000. So group C ka it is 20,000. Group D is 17k and 10k. So this is 17k and this is 10k. So we are getting correct numbers. So how have we changed it? We have only set the estimator. All right. So guys, this is how we can represent, let's say, sum of math score based on race ethnicity. Now we can split it further, let's say based on gender. So I'm not writing the question, I'm just representing it like this. So over here I can simply say hue is equal to gender. Now what will be the impact? What are we trying to represent? Over here we are representing so this is D, let's call it E. E में हम यहाँ पे क्या represent कर रहे हैं? Represent race ethnicity wise mean of writing score on a bar plot based on gender. Gender के base पे we are splitting it. All right. So if we run this, so for each gender we are obtaining the mean writing score for each race ethnicity based on the gender. What is blue color representing? Blue is representing female population, and orange is representing the male population. So guys, this is how we have we can implement this. Next, let's move on to the KDE plot and the, let's say, HIST plot. So they are essentially used to represent the frequency distribution. Now KDE stands for kernel density estimate. It only represents the histogram outline. So suppose I want to display writing score on histogram. So I can say sns dot histplot and x is equal to df writing, as simple as that. So this would be histplot. Yeah, and as we can see, the histogram is generated. You want to change the color, that can be done. So color is maybe, let's say, light green. All right, even over here we can change the color. So for color, or I can add color palette. Palette is equal to maybe red and let's say maroon. Over here I'm considering maybe light green and maroon. So guys, as we can see, we can change the colors by setting the color palette. All right, so now we are headed towards the hist plot, and this guy abhi humne example dekha. On the x axis I'm representing df writing, so it would generate the histogram on the let's say x axis, where the frequencies are distribution on the y axis. So what would be the title? The title over here could be, let's say, this is hist plot for writing score. Now isi mein if I write KDE is equal to true, so what does this indicate? That I'll get a border line as well. You can see this outline, right? This is representing the KDE. Now if I have to solve this, represent let's say writing score on the histogram with respect to gender. So यहाँ पे मैं क्या represent करना है? Writing score. So sns dot hist plot, यहाँ पे हमने writing score represent किया था with respect to gender. So what can be done? X, okay, over here I'm writing data is equal to df. On the x I'll be writing the writing, and hue would be gender, and plt dot show. So what would be the title? The title over here would be frequency distribution for writing score with respect to gender. All right, so gender के respect में यहाँ पे हमें categorize करना है. So if you observe this, automatically it has picked up two colors, blue and red. So the orange color, sorry, blue and orange, the orange color is representing the males, frequency distribution for males. The blue color is representing frequency distribution for females, and this is for the writing score. So what is our inference? So if you observe the data, can we say that the majority of students have scored somewhere between, let's say, 50 and assuming this is 82, all right, 50 and 82, or somewhere close to 84, right? This is where the majority lies. Now a couple of students have obtained less than 40 as well. All right, and students have also obtained marks closer to 100. This is what this frequency distribution represents. So guys, यहाँ तक हमने plot कर लिया. Next we do have a very essential chart, which is box plot, and this is also available for matplotlib. So box plot essentially represents 5-point summary, and it is used to identify the outliers. Let's say used to identify the outliers. So ये हम कैसे represent कर सकते हैं? And it represents the 5-point summary. Let's understand what are these 5 points. So the first point is minimum. Minimum value is Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. And okay, first let's talk about these three. I'll come to these points. First we have to discuss the first, second and the third. And then maybe we can come to the fourth and fifth. Alright. So Q1 is the first quartile. So it represents the median of the lower half of the data, representing the 25 percentile. So if a number is 25 percentile, it means 25% values are less than that number in the specified range. Likewise, Q2 is representing the median. So the middle value of the data set when ordered from lowest to the highest. This represents the median. Alright, and it is representing the 50 percentile. Median is the middlemost value, so it is 50 percentile. As in 50% data, जो भी median है उससे छोटा है, and 50% data is greater than the median. This is what essentially we are let's say demonstrating with median, that is Q2 or second quartile. Then we have third quartile, which is Q3. So the median of the upper half of the data, it represents the 75 percentile. Means 75% data would be smaller than Q3 and 25% data would be larger than Q3. So after having computed, let's say Q1, Q2 and Q3, we can compute IQR which stands for interquartile range. All right, and its formula is Q3 minus Q1. The formula over here is Q3 minus Q1. So how to compute the minimum and maximum, and this may or may not be the minimum of the data. So the minimum over here is Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR, and the maximum that we have over here is Q1 plus 1.5 times IQR. So इस पूरे information को इन 5 points को how do we represent? We represent them using box plot. So it represents quartile distribution. All right, maybe I can mention it like this: used to represent quartile distribution. All right, so कौन से quartiles हैं that we represent? Q1, Q2, Q3. And what are Q1, Q2, Q3? We have just discussed it over here. So what are outliers? Over here we have come across a term outliers, right? So outliers are data points. So data points greater than let's say maximum, which is Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR, or data points less than minimum. And what is minimum value? The minimum value is Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. All right, this is the minimum value. So this is how we can represent this. So even outliers can be represented on the box plot. So suppose I want to represent box plot for math score, so I can simply write sns.boxplot, and then data is equal to df and x is equal to math, and then plt.show. So guys, if you observe this over here, so this is the minimum value, this is Q1, the middle line over here is Q2, and this is Q3. 50% data is essentially concentrated in this blue region. So means 50% student have scored marks between, assuming 68 and maybe 58 and 78, and this is the maximum value. Means on the upper side there is no outlier, so this is the maximum, which is Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR. This is Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR, and values less than this or greater than this, they are considered as outliers. So यहाँ पे I can mention the title as what would be the title? The title could appropriately be, let's say, box plot for math score. All right, this is the box plot for the math score. Next, represent quartile distribution for math score for each race ethnicity. So sns dot box plot, data is equal to df, x is equal to reth, and quartile distribution for math score, right? So math score के लिए data is equal to df for each race ethnicity. So for that I can pass race ethnicity over here and then plt dot show, or instead hue की जरूरत नहीं है, I should rather write y. Okay, let's interchange this would be y and this would be x. X would be race ethnicity and y would be the math score. So if you observe this, for each of these groups, for each of the race ethnicity, I have obtained the math score marks. So clearly we can see that the median math score marks is highest for group E. All right, group B and C almost have, group A, B and C almost have the same median, but group B has more outliers towards the lower end. Group A has no outliers. Means for the group A, the performance has been above average, considering let's say above average as in the students have scored somewhere between 55 to maybe 75 or somewhere close to 70, but no one has scored less than we can say 30. All right, but this is not the case for other groups. So this is how we can represent. Now on top of it, I want to add let's say hue. So represent quartile distribution for math score. All right, यहाँ पे हमने लिखा math score for each race ethnicity. Now I have to base it on the gender. So I'll write the same code, but I'll also add hue is equal to gender. All right. So now if you observe this, for each race ethnicity, for each gender, I do observe the box plots. So this is how we can customize this. So title हम add कर देते हैं. Title would be let's say quartile distribution for math score for each race ethnicity with respect to gender. ऑलराइट, इसको हम यहाँ पे लिख सकते हैं. So if you observe this, this is the data that we have. This is how the box plot looks. Next, we can proceed with the scatter plot. So scatter plot is used to represent correlation or covariance between two continuous variables. Alright, so इसको represent कैसे कर सकते हैं? So suppose I want to represent math score versus reading score on a scatter plot. So SNS dot scatter plot, and over here I can mention x. यहाँ पे हमने mention किया data is equal to df. On the x-axis, I can mention the math score. On the y-axis, I can mention the reading score. All right, and then plt dot show. So this is the scatter chart. Now we can mention plt dot title. Title over here would be math score versus reading score, and this is scatter chart. Now, can we add hue to scatter plots as well? Yes, absolutely. So agar hue add karna hai, so what can be done? So we have implemented till j. Next, the k part is represent math score versus reading score on a scatter plot based on gender. So sns dot scatter plot. All right, and data is equal to df, and x पे हम यहाँ पे क्या consider करेंगे? X पे will be considering the math score. On the y will be considering a reading score, and I'll base it hue is equal to gender, and then plt dot show. And we can also adjust the figure size if the points do overlap. जैसे यहाँ पे points overlap कर रहे हैं, so we can even extend the figure size. So guys, as we can see, कि let's say females have better reading score compared to males, right? Clearly we can say this because let's say females, for this data, females have performed better when it comes to reading score. Now I can mention the title over here. The title over here could be, let's say, math score versus reading score for different genders. All right, so guys, this is where we have understood plotting different charts in Seaborn. So far the different charts that we have covered are, we have discussed how to use the count plot, then followed by bar plot. Then we have also discussed how to implement his plot or even KDE plot. I think KDE plot we missed, right? So let me represent a KDE plot. This is where we have the, okay. So this is going to be KDE plot, right? Just similar to the histogram, but just the outline of the histogram. So SNS dot KDE plot, and this may I'm passing x is equal to df, maybe writing score, and plt dot show. The title would be KDE plot for writing score. So guys, this is what we have obtained. Now I can split it based on gender. All right, maybe hue is equal to df gender. I can write it like this. So if you observe this again, in this chart represents that females have performed better when it comes to the writing scores. All right, so guys, these are the different plots that we have discussed. Now, what does KDE stands for? KDE stands for kernel density estimate. All right, so guys, that brings us to the end of this session. Let's switch to the PPT. So guys, in this chart, we have discussed how to create different charts using Seaborn, and we have explored the power of visual data analysis using Matplotlib and Seaborn. So in the next session, we shall be exploring a couple of other advanced charts, and we shall also be looking at, let's say, chart annotations in Matplotlib and Seaborn. Thank you.